Tonight on ABC News Live Prime, powerful storms are snarling holiday travel across the country.
As millions take to the roads and hit the skies, some are dealing with a white Tuesday just before Christmas, while others are dealing with the potential of flooding. I'm Matt Rivers at Newark International Airport, and coming up, we'll have a look at what you can expect for your holiday travel.
Plus, meteorologist Lee Goldberg has the track and timing for those incoming storms. Another document drop. The Department of Justice released 30,000 more files related to convicted sex offender Jeffrey Epstein, including details of investigations into Epstein in the early 2000s and new information about President Trump's alleged flights he flew on Epstein's jet in the 1990s, trips he has always denied. The shocking terminal diagnosis for former Nebraska Senator and college president Ben Sasse, the husband and father, just 53 years old. The weight loss game changer, the latest FDA once-a-day approved pill. Never say never. The Powerball jackpot is at a blockbuster $1.7 billion. So how likely are you to hit it big or even get a small piece of the pie? A professor of mathematics breaks it all down for us. It's the breakout year, nearly 2 decades in the making. Zara Larsson is stepping into the spotlight of the midnight sun for her long-awaited rise to the top.
It's the fact that I am just pouring so much of myself into it, and I think people see that, and I think they feel that it's authentic and genuine.
From ABC News World Headquarters in New York, this is Prime with Linsey Davis.
Good evening, everyone. I'm Linsey Davis. Thanks so much for streaming with us. We're tracking a nursing home explosion in the Philadelphia area, but we begin this Tuesday with the powerful storm slamming both coasts, fueling a holiday travel nightmare for millions. The airports are packed tonight as Americans make their way to their holiday destinations. In the Philadelphia and New York areas, residents woke up to a blanket of white 2 days before Christmas, but much of it turned to rain, leading to slick conditions on the roads. And in the West, 40 million Americans in Southern California are bracing for dangerous flooding from a storm forecast to bring up to a foot of rain over the next few days. That same system could dump up to 6 feet of snow in the mountains. Officials are warning residents to stay home and off the roads. Lee Goldberg is standing by with the forecast. But first, Matt Rivers leads us off from Newark Airport.
Tonight, millions on the move for the holidays on roads and airports coast to coast. With more than 45,000 flights scheduled to lift off today alone, LAX was packed this morning. Amy Volman's trying to get home to Vermont.
Well, I'm a little nervous. My mom told me you might want to keep checking your flight because I guess as I'm landing in Boston, there's a snowstorm that's going to start.
That snowstorm blanketing the Northeast with snow and rain from Rochester to Philly to upstate New York. In New York City, surveillance video showing a garbage truck slamming into several vehicles and a scaffolding, killing a woman underneath. Roads were slick at the time.
It's getting pretty bad.
Northern California slammed with more than a half foot of rain since Sunday. In Humboldt County, Coast Guard rescuers smashing the sunroof of this vehicle, hoisting a 72-year-old woman trapped inside to safety. And as the waters subside in Northern California, the National Weather Service has issued their highest alert for flooding for parts of Southern California. Our Melissa Adan in fire-ravaged Altadena.
You see these blue tarps here on the ground trying to prevent a mudslide. This as homes here are just frames under construction that are now threatened by these hillsides that could collapse from the rain.
With nearly a foot of rain forecast, officials begging everyone to heed evacuation warnings and orders.
What worse time, right, for something like this to happen? Christmas Eve, Christmas Day.
So many extremes for people in that area. Matt Rivers joins us now from Newark International Airport on the other side of the country. Matt, talk to us about the crush of travelers you've seen today.
It has been a very busy day here at Terminal C at Newark Airport. You can see this crowd behind me, Lindsay. This crowd is not even in the security area yet. They're waiting to go up to get to the security area. Average delays right now about 45 minutes, and the next busiest day for travel, Lindsay, will be just after Christmas on December 28th.
Or just stay home if you're with the family. All right, Matt Rivers, our thanks to you. Lee Goldberg is tracking it all for us on this dreary and chilly Tuesday night. Hi, Lee.
Hey, Lindsay. So we have the storm that's in its home stretch in the northeast, although it lingers through tomorrow morning. There's still some rain and snow around the Boston area, but snows continue upstate New York into northern New England. But as the low enhances off the Maine coast, there'll be 6 to 12 inches across parts of Maine. Portland is under a winter storm warning. Then to the west. This is a major flood event that's unfolding across Southern California. You see this rare high risk just north of L.A., Santa Barbara to San Bernardino. This doesn't happen very often. And when it does, that's when we see our most flood fatalities, flood damage. And this is going to be going on Tuesday night through Wednesday. 1 inch per hour rainfall rates, mudslides over burn scar areas, tremendous rains going hour after hour. So we see the rain become more widespread tonight. But I think the brunt of this from about 7 in the morning till 3 in the afternoon. Then we'll get some lighter rains, but damage will already be done at that point. We still have some additional rains that'll continue into Thursday and Friday. Rainfall totals. Some of the higher elevations north of LA, 6 to 8 inches, maybe even some double-digit amounts. Widespread 3 to 7 inches of rain. In the Sierra, 2 to 6 feet of snow, and then the storm moves inland. There will be some additional snows and rains Thursday and Friday, but not as intense, but anything could aggravate the flooding. Meanwhile, the rest of the country's quiet, even some record warmth over the middle of the country. Lindsay?
4 to 6 feet. That is a lot of snow,
Indeed.
Lee. All right. Thank you so much, and happy holidays, my friend. Now to the latest on the Epstein files. The Department of Justice released thousands more documents last night, some of them making reference to President Trump and other high-profile men. Epstein survivors are speaking up in outrage, suggesting authorities should have stopped Epstein's crimes years earlier. Here's R.J. O'Brien.
Tonight, the new details in more than 30,000 pages of Jeffrey Epstein files released in the middle of the night by the Department of Justice, some mentioning President Donald Trump. In one email written during Trump's first term, a federal prosecutor handling the case of Epstein's accomplice Ghislaine Maxwell alerting his colleagues that flight records reflect that Donald Trump traveled on Epstein's private jet many more times than previously has been reported or that we were aware. Didn't want any of this to be a surprise down the road. A total of 8 flights in the mid-1990s, prosecutors said, most later made public. But just last year, Trump, who had a decades-long friendship with Epstein, claimed he was never on Epstein's plane. Another new email shows the FBI pursuing possible Epstein accomplices the day after he was arrested in 2019, asking for an update on the status of the 10 co-conspirators. But this summer, the Justice Department said there was not enough evidence to warrant prosecuting anyone else in connection to Epstein. Maxwell is the only co-conspirator ever charged. The records show prosecutors repeatedly tried to interview others in Epstein's orbit, including former Prince Andrew, seen here in a newly released photo with Maxwell and others who are unidentified. Virginia Giuffre long claimed Epstein trafficked her for sex with Andrew 3 times in 2001 when she was a teenager, which Andrew denies.
He knows exactly what he's done.
And newly released emails from that same year show a message to Ghislaine Maxwell from someone going by the letter A, saying they're writing from Balmoral Castle, calling it summer camp for the royal family, and asking, "Have you found me some new inappropriate friends?" Maxwell writing back, "So sorry to disappoint you, I've only been able to find appropriate friends." The records raise serious questions about why Epstein wasn't stopped years ago. This Palm Beach police report shows authorities looked into Maxwell in 2001 for allegedly recruiting college students to work for Epstein, saying at least 2 girls complained about Epstein touching them inappropriately. And tonight, top Democrats on Capitol Hill calling for an investigation into how this 1996 FBI tip was ignored. A child pornography complaint accusing Epstein of stealing photos of 12 and 16-year-old girls, possibly to be sold. Epstein wouldn't face criminal charges for another decade.
How can a woman be making such a serious accusation not be true and nobody looked at it? So we do ask the DOJ to do their job.
Jay O'Brien joins us now. Jay, what else is inside these reams of newly released records?
Yeah, Lindsay, there are a lot of emails and other correspondence, but one thing standing out, which are photos of a passport that police seized from Jeffrey Epstein's mansion in New York. It was inside a safe there. It is an Austrian passport. It has a photo of Epstein on it, but it has an alias there. Another thing that stood out was a subpoena that federal prosecutors subpoenaed to Mar-a-Lago for employment records. We do know that at least one Epstein survivor worked at Mar-a-Lago. President Trump has repeatedly said that he had no knowledge of Epstein's wrongdoings and said that the two had a falling out in the mid-2000s because Epstein, quote unquote, stole employees from Mar-a-Lago, Linsey.
The latest DOJ document dump is by far the largest so far, at least. How many have they released up to this point, and how many more still need to be made public?
So 30,000 pages today. In total, roughly about 100,000 pages have been released so far. That seems like a lot, but it's just a fraction of what sources tell us here at ABC News could be upwards of 1 million pages of Epstein-related files that the department has. They say they will continue to put out files in the coming weeks here, but the reality is they already missed their deadline to put those files out. Remember, the law requiring these files be made public, the deadline for the DOJ to release all of them was last Friday, Linsey.
Yeah, so as you just mentioned, of course, they were required to release all of the Epstein files by last week. They haven't done so. What are you hearing from members of Congress about that?
We've seen rumblings from members of Congress of trying to hold the Department of Justice accountable here. They have limited options, but Ro Khanna, Democrat of California, Thomas Massie, Republican of Kentucky, the two architects in the House of the new law requiring these Epstein files be released, say they are drafting a resolution to hold a vote in the House to hold Attorney General Pam Bondi in contempt. That would be a long shot because it's a Republican-controlled House. We've seen similar efforts to hold the DOJ accountable in the Senate, but again, a long shot in that chamber, too.
Jay O'Brien, we thank you so much for your reporting. Today, the Supreme Court denied President Trump's request to deploy the Illinois National Guard to Chicago to assist federal immigration agents and protect federal property. The ruling was 6-3. The justices saying that the federal code allows the president to federalize the guards only after he's used active duty military in order to quell unrest and not merely DHS or ICE agents. The decision, while temporary, is a significant setback for the White House, which has activated troops in 4 states plus Washington, D.C. The White House says the ruling does not distract from the president's core agenda of protecting federal personnel and enforcing immigration laws. This comes as late today we learn the National Guard is deploying to New Orleans. For more now, we're joined by ABC News legal analyst Kim Whaley. Kim, thanks so much for coming back on the show. So break down this shadow docket decision and what it means for other National Guard deployments.
So the president used a statute that essentially allows him to invoke the National Guard if regular forces were unable to quell some kind of unrest. And the position that the Trump was taking was that ICE needed reinforcement and there was federal property in Illinois that required National Guard, that ICE was not sufficient. The Supreme Court majority, it was an unsigned opinion, but it was, as you indicated, a majority, 6 justices, basically said when they mean forces, they mean military. So essentially what the court is saying is that Trump has to basically have a justification to invoke the military, then decide the military is not sufficient to do whatever job they needed the National Guard to do. And unless he goes through those hoops, he cannot use the National Guard in cities other than Washington, D.C. moving forward.
Some are saying it could actually result in the U.S. military being used more. Why would that be?
Because this, as I mentioned, this is a kind of a special federal statute. There's another law called the Insurrection Act. Linsey, there's a third law called the Posse Comitatus Act, but basically says, it's a very old statute, you cannot use federal troops, military troops, for civilian law enforcement. An exception to that is the Insurrection Act. That is, there's various criteria where Trump could invoke that to skip over National Guard, go right to military troops in the streets of the United States, but that's going to create a whole separate legal conundrum as to whether he'd be properly invoking the Insurrection Act, which, as I said, is an exception to Posse Comitatus. Essentially, the majority said the Posse Comitatus Act holds right now, and that's why you can't use the National Guard. But I think we could expect Trump to just skip over the National Guard now and potentially go right to the military.
In your estimation, is this the most significant defeat the Supreme Court has handed Trump so far this year?
Absolutely, and in part because if you read the dissenting justice's opinion, Justice Alito in particular, Justice Thomas joined it, he was advocating again for this unitary executive theory, essentially said, we don't really need the Congress to say one thing or the other. This is inherently the power of the president under the Constitution, and the fact that 3 of the conservative justices did not sign on to that, I think is definitely a chink in the armor of Donald Trump's expansion of executive legislative power beyond anything we've seen in American history.
Kim Whaley, we thank you so much for your insight as always. Brown University announced that they have placed their vice president of public safety and emergency management on leave effective immediately. The move is part of the school's review of safety measures after the deadly shooting on its campus 10 days ago. 2 students were killed and 9 others injured. Brown University's decision comes at the same time the Department of Education announced that they will investigate the school for potential Clery Act violations. The Clery Act requires institutions of higher education to meet certain campus safety requirements as a condition of receiving federal student aid. Tonight, President Trump is celebrating better than expected news on the economy. The gross domestic product grew 4.3% through the end of September. That's the strongest growth in 2 years. The data had been delayed by the government shutdown. President Trump said the numbers are blowing past expectations, but are Americans feeling it? Here's our senior White House correspondent, Selena Wang.
Tonight, President Trump taking credit for a surging economy after a new report showed growth at its fastest pace in 2 years. The president posting the Trump economic golden age is full steam ahead. The U.S. economy grew at an annual rate of 4.3% from July through September, beating analysts' expectations and driven by consumer spending. But polls show 57% of registered voters disapprove of Trump's handling of the economy.
People feel that even if they're working and even if they get a raise, if it's just going towards higher prices, are we really getting ahead?
Trump claiming the tariffs are responsible for the great USA economic numbers just announced. But while some grocery prices like eggs have come down, Americans are paying higher prices on everything from bananas to beef to coffee, goods impacted by Trump's tariffs.
A lot of people feeling the pinch with groceries. Selena Wang joins us now. Selena, on a related topic, what did the president say today about who the next chair of the Federal Reserve could be?
Yeah, Lindsay, and President Trump is currently in the process of choosing the next chair of the Federal Reserve. And he announced today that this next leader must lower interest rates even if the financial markets are doing well, making it clear that anyone who disagrees with him is not getting the job. Lindsay.
Selena Wang from West Palm Beach, Florida. Selena, thank you. Now to the devastating diagnosis for former Senator and former University of Florida President Ben Sasse. The 53-year-old husband and father revealed today that he has stage 4 pancreatic cancer. Here's Mola Lange.
Tonight, former U.S. Senator from Nebraska Ben Sasse revealing a sudden and devastating diagnosis. He has stage 4 pancreatic cancer. The 53-year-old posting a heartfelt message saying, "This is a tough note to write. Last week, I was diagnosed with metastasized stage 4 pancreatic cancer, and I'm going to die." Sasse served in the Senate for 8 years, a staunch conservative, yet a sharp critic of President Trump, particularly after January 6th.
Donald Trump has acted shamefully. He has been in flagrant dereliction of his duty.
Sasse was one of 7 Republicans who voted to convict Trump during the president's second impeachment trial in 2021, which ended with an acquittal. He resigned from the Senate in 2023 and briefly served as the president of the University of Florida. Tonight, the married father of 3 saying this is hard for someone wired to work and build, but harder still as a husband and a dad. Adding, he's not going down without a fight.
Lindsay, medical experts say Sasse's diagnosis is the most advanced form of pancreatic cancer. Patients at that stage may only have months to live. Lindsay?
Mola, sorry to hear that news. Thank you. New details tonight about an explosion that caused a massive fire and heavily damaged a nursing home just outside of Philadelphia. The blast happened in Bristol Township, Pennsylvania this afternoon. Moments ago, Pennsylvania Governor Josh Shapiro gave an update. At least 2 people were killed, and there's still, quote, a number of people missing in the rubble. He said that it seems right now it was a gas leak that was to blame. Governor Josh Shapiro, who stressed this information is still preliminary, praised the quick reaction from first responders. Firefighters say they pulled as many people to safety as they could.
Fire department personnel immediately went into a rescue mode. They pulled many residents out of the building via windows, doors, stuck in stairwells, stuck in elevator shafts.
Governor Shapiro said Silver Lake Nursing Home has brand new owners who took over this month. The search for possible survivors is ongoing and residents are being reunited with their families. 6 are dead after a Mexican Navy plane crashed near Galveston, Texas on Monday. And now new video has emerged from the crash scene. The aftermath shows a father and his son among the first on the scene, jumping into the water and helping to pull a survivor to safety. The Mexican Navy said the aircraft was conducting a humanitarian mission focused on specialized medical transport. The NTSB is investigating the crash. Coming up, what you need to know about the FDA's recall of frozen shrimp that may contain a radioactive isotope. And later, we know singing has the power to bring people together. Steve Osunsami takes us to a place where religion takes a backseat to the human voice, or what adherents call the sacred harp.
We sing sacred words, and to a lot of us, it is worship.
Okay.
To others, perhaps not so. We have Jews singing, we have Catholics, we have Christians, we have some Muslims. It doesn't matter.
And the Powerball jackpot is now a whopping $1.7 billion. But the chance of actually winning, as you know, it is slim. So why are we still drawn to the lottery? We'll give you all the odds and some pointers next. Once again, no jackpot winner in last night's Powerball drawing, which means tomorrow's jackpot climbs to an estimated $1.7 billion. In just a minute, we'll talk to a Davidson College professor of mathematics and computer science who can explain why playing the lottery remains a draw for so many of us, even though our chances of winning it all remain teensy-weensy. And so the Powerball lottery is once again tonight's by the numbers. We know more of you play the lottery once the drawings top $1 billion. One piece of evidence: there were $9 million tickets in last night's drawing that matched all 5 white balls, just not that red Powerball. Usually only 1 or 2 people pull that off for any drawing. You know by now just how slim your chances of winning the jackpot are, a mere 1 in 292 million. So I'm not sure if it'll make it better or worse to know that only about 3,000 tickets last night had even 4 of the 5 white balls correct. By the way, you have the same chances of winning the jackpot as you do selecting a marked dollar bill from a stack 19 miles high. Or another way of thinking about it, your odds, you're 20,000 times more likely to get hit by lightning in your lifetime than winning the jackpot, and 50,000 times more likely to live to be 100 years old. All right, would you like one more miserable way of thinking about your odds? How about this? 1 in 292 million is like me secretly choosing one specific second over a span of 9 years and you correctly guessing the exact second that I picked. But don't get angry with me. The young man who worked out the odds for this is joining us now, a Davidson College professor of mathematics and computer science, Mr. Tim Chartier. Professor Chartier, welcome to Prime. As more people are drawn to these mega billion-dollar-plus drawings, we know more tickets will be purchased. What's the likelihood now that we'll see a winner tomorrow night?
Well, one of the interesting things is that once the lottery tops $1 billion, people come out of the woodwork to start buying those tickets. So the chances are that it'll be 50% or higher. And with the holidays, it's likely to be higher than 50%, so even better than a coin flip.
And some of us won't purchase just one ticket for the next drawing. We'll purchase 10 or 20, maybe even 100. But set us straight, what does that really do to improve our odds of winning?
Well, if you buy 100 tickets, it's true that you actually multiply your chance of winning by 100. But it's important to go back to your analogy of it being 1 second in 9 years, because buying 100 tickets is like having just 100 guesses to guess that 1 second in a 9-year span. So it's still not terribly likely.
It can be tempting, though, to study which numbers might be drawn more frequently than others. Are some numbers drawn more frequently? If so, why so?
That's just randomness. If you flip a coin 30 times, you're not going to get 15 heads and 15 tails on average. So just by randomness itself, you're going to have some numbers pop up more than others, but it doesn't mean that you'll have those numbers more likely in the drawing.
I know you're a man of cold, hard numbers, but on a human level, most of us are aware that the chances of winning the Powerball lottery are really close to none. So what are the psychological or social reasons that keep us coming back, that keep us deciding, we'll buy that one ticket?
For me, I believe it's the dream of being a billionaire, that for one day you just have to buy that one ticket and you get to dream of being a billionaire. And in this time of the holiday season, there's a lot of joy that comes with that. So if you have the money, enjoy the dream.
So, Professor, I got to ask you, are you buying a ticket?
I have not yet, but my wife knows that when I get these calls, we've gone over $1 billion. So I'm pretty sure we're going to have that discussion, but we'll see. My guess is probably not.
It kind of feels that once it gets to $1 billion, you gotta try. Somebody's going to win, right? What do they say? Gotta pay to play.
You got to play to win.
All right, yeah. Professor Tim Chartier, we appreciate you breaking down the numbers for us tonight.
Thank you.
Coming up, why DK Metcalf's swipe at a fan could cost him not just a 2-game suspension, but tens of millions of dollars. And the frantic moment a mom raced to her Sherman Oaks, California home to thwart burglars only to accidentally hit their getaway car. More on that next. Welcome back to Prime. Here's a look at the stories making headlines right now. The airports are packed tonight as Americans travel for the holidays, with more than 45,000 flights scheduled to lift off today alone. It comes as wet weather and storms plague the east and west coasts. A snowstorm blanketing the Northeast as travelers rush to get home. And tonight, some new revelations in the more than 30,000 pages of never-before-seen Jeffrey Epstein files that were released in the middle of the night by the Department of Justice. In one email written during Trump's first term, a federal prosecutor handling the case of Epstein's accomplice Ghislaine Maxwell alerts his colleagues that flight records reflect that Donald Trump traveled on Epstein's private jet many more times than previously has been reported. The Supreme Court has refused to allow President Trump's bid to deploy National Guard troops in the Chicago area. It's the first time the High Court has weighed in on the legal fight over Trump's use of the Guard to support immigration enforcement and fight crime. The decision, while temporary, is a significant setback for the White House, which has activated troops in 4 states plus Washington, D.C. The White House says it does not distract from the president's core agenda of protecting federal personnel and enforcing immigration laws. Taylor Swift announced that she is donating $1 million to the American Heart Association. She made the gift in honor of her father, Scott Swift, after speaking publicly about his heart condition. The donation will help fund scientific research, strengthen prevention and treatment efforts, and expand access to life-saving heart care in communities nationwide. And earlier in the day, Swift also donated $1 million to Feeding America, a nonprofit network of 200 food banks fighting hunger in the U.S. And still ahead, the curious all-day singing events bringing hundreds of people of all faiths or even no faith together. No musical experience required. And the dramatic new lengths the NBA is considering going to try to prevent teams from losing on purpose. Welcome back, everyone. Tonight, our senior national correspondent Steve Osinsami is introducing us once again to a peculiar singing of hymns that for many is less about religion and more about community. The sacred harp is what it's called, and it's most frequently practiced in the South. It's a unique form of a cappella and choral singing of odes and hymns in the round that sounds like it should be the soundtrack of a post-Civil War period piece. And indeed, it dates back to the late 18th century. But today it attracts more young people than you might think. Here's Steve Osinsami reporting from Atlanta.
Fa, sol, la, fa, sol, fa.
What's old is new again.
You may tell them, Father.
Sometimes every week. In small spaces like this one across the Western world.
When you're actually singing Sacred Harp properly, there's, I guess I would call it a rawness that is not in normal music of today.
It's not always magical, but sometimes it really is.
They bring no instruments, just the human voice. The Sacred Harp, they call it. A style of singing born in 18th century Europe that found its home in the American South. They may look like they're at a church revival, in a square, keeping the rhythm of the hymns with their hands.
let the Redeemer's name.
But there's no religion here.
We sing sacred words, and to a lot of us, it is worship.
Okay.
To others, perhaps not so. We have Jews singing, we have Catholics, we have Christians, we have some Muslims. It doesn't matter.
Helen Brown from Ireland
I think it's about time we sing.
is one of the many singers from across the globe who make the pilgrimage to America nearly every year, singing at all-day events like this one. From morning to night, in a peculiar four-part harmony, with each part singing from their edge of the hollow square.
Before COVID, we would come over 2 or 3 times a year if we could, because this is where the heart of the singing is. I mean, we sing in the UK and we sing really well, but it's not like coming here. The more you come, the more the music gets ingrained in you, and it speaks to my heart.
They sing some of the same old hymns that were in the 2003 Oscar-winning film Cold Mountain. Set at the end of the American Civil War, celebrating a chorus that was accessible to anyone at a time when people were doing well if they could read words, much less music. The Sacred Harp is also the name of their songbook, first published in rural Georgia in 1864. They update the book about once every generation.
This is the 1991 edition. This book has more than 550 songs in it.
Jesse Carlberg, a young father, wrote new songs for the latest book released this fall.
I was a music major as an undergrad. You know, I was in a totally different musical world. I was interested in experimental music, electronic music, and things like that. So this traditional singing where people don't need an audience to, as an excuse, you know, to get together, but they just want to sing and make music for each other, and it forms these kind of bonds that singers come to feel is akin to family. It was really moving to me.
They say the music on the printed page is easier to read because while it uses the same do-re-mi music structure that many people know, the notes are printed with different shapes.
The fa is a triangle, the sol is a circle or an oval, the la is a square, slightly rectangle, and the mi is a diamond.
The shape tells you how high or low the pitch is. Everyone will sing through the song then on these shape notes. Fa, fa, mi, la, sol, la. And everyone will be singing their harmony parts on those shape note syllables.
So my memory is this is an A in bass clef, right?
Yep.
Okay. So it's still the same A note.
It's the same. So we sing fa, fa, sol, la, fa.
People with no musical training can learn the intervals between the fa and the sol, the fa and the la, etc. And they can learn to sight read music just by shape note.
And you don't even need to be able to sing that well to be welcomed here.
You don't have to have a beautiful voice. You're joining your voice with the person on your left and your right and across the square.
More than 700 people from different faiths and dozens of countries came to Atlanta one Saturday morning to sing from the new edition of their songbook.
The communal part of this is super important to you.
Some people we sing with each other almost every week, and other people we might see just once every few years. But we come to love these singers.
If you sing Sacred Harp, you're my friend, and we love you. It's family.
Where today can folks without any musical training have people welcome them in, say, hey, let's make music together. It's very unusual, but it's something I think that people want.
To connect with real people in person, that's a spiritual experience.
penetrates you. The sound penetrates you and just makes you come alive.
There's like this tension in it that always releases, and it's just really powerful.
They say here, every voice is holy.
Everybody draws you in, and as long as people want to sing, then they will be welcomed with open arms.
All about community. Our thanks to Steve Osunsami. Coming up, feeling the cold winter blues? We have a fix for that. An in-depth interview with the sensational Swedish pop singer Zara Larsson, who's out with a hot new album, Midnight Sun. And days after rolling out new policies to combat betting-related performance manipulation, the NBA is now seeking ways to prevent entire teams from tanking just so they can improve their draft positions. Stay with us. A mom rams the getaway car of burglars targeting her home. The FDA approves the first ever oral weight loss pill, and 41-year-old Linsey Vonn qualifies for the Olympics for the 5th time. These stories and more in tonight's rundown. Dramatic security video shows the moment a mom in Sherman Oaks, California, foiled a burglary of her home. She slammed her Mercedes-Benz into the getaway car of the burglars trying to rob her. The woman, who did not want to be identified, said she was running out for coffee and left her 3 kids at home with their grandmother. Then grandma called from the house.
She started screaming, and she screamed like crazy, you know?
Burglars were on the property, but grandma's screams seemed to scare them off. The mom quickly drove home, arriving just in time to ram the suspect's parked sedan before they could get back in and flee. 3 suspects were seen on camera running away. The suspects are at large, but police did recover a wallet with ID, a crowbar, and walkie-talkie inside the smashed sedan. The NBA is in talks with owners and general managers on new ways to combat tanking, where teams deliberately lose games to improve their draft pick position for the next season. Sources tell ESPN that the league has presented several ideas to modify rules for draft pick protections, the draft lottery, and other possible approaches. The league's focus on tanking comes after the NBA learned injury reporting rules were being exploited by gamblers. The Food and Drug Administration has approved the first GLP-1 pill for weight loss. Drug maker Novo Nordisk announced the approval of its oral Wegovy pill, which must be taken once a day. It's expected to be widely available in January. Novo Nordisk hasn't released the price for the pill, but it's expected to be cheaper than weekly injections. Pittsburgh Steelers star DK Metcalf was suspended for 2 games by the NFL after he was caught apparently taking a swing at a Lions fan during Sunday's victory in Detroit. The wide receiver was found to have violated league policy. Metcalf tried to appeal the suspension, but the NFL announced late Tuesday it would be upheld. As a result, Metcalf also stands to lose not only the rest of his salary for this season, but also $45 million he's owed in future guaranteed money under his contract. The Food and Drug Administration is recalling the seafood brand Waterfront Bistro after finding the frozen raw shrimp may have been prepared and packed in unsanitary conditions in Indonesia. The shrimp may be contaminated with the radioactive isotope cesium-137, which carries an elevated risk of cancer. No illnesses have been reported, but anyone who bought the shrimp should throw it out or return it to the store for a refund. And American Olympic legend Linsey Vonn is proving age is only a number. Team USA announced today that the 41-year-old punched her ticket to the 2026 Milan Cortina Olympic Games after she had an impressive run at the World Cup in France over the weekend. Vonn wrote on Instagram, "No matter how these games end up, I feel like I've already won." It will be the alpine ski racers' 5th time competing for the U.S. in the Winter Olympics. She's the voice behind some of the biggest pop songs of the last decade. And finally, she's stepping into the light of the midnight sun and getting the long-awaited recognition she deserves. Zara Larsson's new single earned the Swedish superstar her first Grammy nomination and the continued adoration of her fans, who knew her star was always rising. Our Morgan Norwood has tonight's Prime Playlist.
It might be cold outside, but in Zara Larsson's world, summer is endless and fun.
It's the midnight sun kiss, get under the red sky, laying on your chest like this.
Now I feel like I'm going from being a performer to an artist. It feels really, really fun.
Her single Midnight Sun is also the title of her 5th studio album, a celebration of long summer days and nights inspired by her native Sweden, and a record that she says finally represents her.
I want to stay in this world for a moment. I love a good era. Like, this is who I am.
From her Y2K glam,
I feel like my makeup looks have really elevated my whole brand.
To her choreo.
So you have TikTok in a frenzy, and a lot of people are comparing you. They're calling you, actually, Beyonce Jr. How does that sit with you?
I'm scared. Because I am such a Beyonce fan. Like, even just having a slight comparison to that woman means a lot because, in my opinion, she is the best artist that have ever existed.
The 28-year-old Swedish pop singer is branding herself to become a household name, recently opening up for pop star Tate McRae on her Miss Possessive tour.
I think it did so much for me. I'm so grateful for Tate, like, to having me on that stage. It really kick-started this era.
What do you think it is about this era, this version of Zara, that people are connecting with?
I think it's the fact that I am just pouring so much of myself into it, and I think people see that, and I think they feel that it's authentic and genuine.
Zara is no rookie to the music world. Her career kicked off when she was just 10 years old, the youngest person to ever win Talang, a Swedish talent competition.
I'm just so, like, I think now this is more than half of my life ago. I remember being so nervous, but also so excited. Like, I just couldn't wait to get on stage and just to be like an artist.
And an artist she became. Over the past decade, Larsson has been responsible for some of pop's biggest hits, like 2015's Lush Life.
I live my day as if it was the last, live my day as if there was no past, doing it all night, all summer.
And Symphony with Clean Bandit.
I just wanna be part of your symphony. We hold me tight and not let go.
Those two songs alone garnering more than 3 billion streams on Spotify. Zara Larsson says her ascension to stardom hasn't been linear. Not because her music hasn't done well, but because even after all this time in the industry, she just didn't feel seen.
I think looking back, I just felt like I didn't know what I wanted to do. Like, the project didn't start from here. I just kept looking outside of myself. Like, what do people want me to do? What do they like?
And I think what's so interesting about your career is that you've had several, big breakthroughs. What do you think kept resetting you back to, the start?
It's almost like I've had like several, not one-hit wonders, but it's been like they know the songs, but they don't necessarily know me. This time around, I think I just have it planned out. I feel like I know how I want a rollout to look like. I know how I want like my tour to be. I feel like I'm like bossing up, but also I'm allowing myself to have more fun because I don't feel the same pressure of having to live up to something, because I feel like I've had like success and then my flop era, and then it's like, well, okay, like I flopped, so it doesn't scare me anymore.
That first flop,
yeah.
How did it feel?
It's the fact that you are being completely ignored by a very long time, and having to kind of push through and still like be excited and like do all these things and still not being seen. So it could be discouraging, but then again, like my love for singing and music just goes so deep into like the fabric of my DNA, like who I am. So it's like, oh, I thought I was good. But now people aren't seeing that. Does that mean I'm not good? Not necessarily. But also, it was like the thought of letting that go that made me, like, I feel like success should be like the symptom of what you create rather than trying to get the attention of what I was creating.
That shift in focus, landing her first Grammy nom for Best Pop Recording for her song Midnight Sun.
I got a call and I'm nominated for a Grammy, like, I'm so happy that this is my first Grammy nomination, and it's for a project, like my song that I did that feels really me and personal.
Midnight Sun is a high-energy electro-pop album that spews confident femininity.
Walk me through the creative vision for Pretty Ugly.
I just wanted it to be like messy, girly.
Have you ever seen a pretty girl get ugly like this?
It's this very chanty chorus, loud and honestly a little obnoxious.
Zara is now headlining her very own world tour. The U.S. leg of it begins next year. And as ambitious as she is,
I could live a simple life, but that's the thing with the ambition. Wanted so much.
she's basking in the moment of her success because, in a way, she's just getting started.
And I think that's also what's fun about being, you know, on the way somewhere. Like, I'm trying to live in the love because everybody loves an underdog. But I also can't wait for the moment where I'm starting to, like, get the haters coming in, because then you know I'm up here.
Our thanks to Morgan Norwood for that conversation. Get to know your favorite artist better with our latest episode of The Playlist. We featured Young Miko, a Puerto Rican rapper changing the game, Kane Brown, a country star bending genres at his own will, and Julia Michaels, a singer-songwriter who likely wrote your favorite song. That's streaming right now on Disney Plus and Hulu. That is our show for this hour. I'm Linsey Davis. Be sure to stay tuned to ABC News Live for more context and analysis of the day's top stories. Thanks so much for streaming with us.